What is up? Welcome back. It is Tuesday, October 7th. And Herb, there's been a question going around the office the past couple of days. Might have been spurred by yours truly, and it's a question you've probably been asked before, but I want your answer and your rationale behind it, okay?
All right.
So I posed this question to my coworkers, which was, how many first graders do you think it would take to beat you up in a fight?
Oh, you better bring the whole fucking school district. You better bring. We're talking 7 years old, right?
Yep, I had to do the math on it. 7 years old.
Your average 7-year-old's gotta be 4'7".
I feel like you are giving a lot of credit to first graders.
That feels
there,
tall,
guy.
doesn't it?
That's
so
extremely
we're talking
tall.
Around that 4 foot mark.
How tall is an average
American? And that will skew it.
7-year-old.
We gotta
American.
know now. You better bring You better bring kids from the next town over.
Approximately 48 inches, which is 12, 24, 36. Yeah, 4 foot.
4 foot tall.
You were so off.
I said 4'7", and then
That's 7 inches off.
It's not like I was like 2 feet off, but we're talking.
Okay, and also for the listeners at home that don't know Herb, and his stature, let's just say Herb's not a small guy, and to put in perspective,
I'm 6'3", 315.
Yeah,
okay?
he was an offensive lineman in college. So let's put that into perspective before we get his answer here. Because my answer, as somebody who is 5'9", 180, is vastly different. But Herb,
you're gonna have to bring a few bus loads of children.
So my question is, how many? Not just like a bus load, like a general number, and then 2, what is going to be your plan of attack to fend them off?
And listen, I want to preface by saying I would never physically assault a child.
But in this hypothetical scenario,
in this hypothetical, kids are getting Spartan kicked in the face. I mean, plain and simple.
Drop kicking them to Timbuktu.
It wouldn't even be. I mean, literally, the bottom of my foot going through their sternum. I think, truthfully, you could bring 1,000 kids. After the first 2 go down, the other 998 are going to give up.
What if? Okay, let's adjust the settings. Let's say that the fear of death is at a 0 for all these children as they are in attack mode.
Fearless.
They're just going to keep coming. They're just going to keep coming.
Yeah, no, 100. It would probably, and I think I would probably just get tired after a while. It wouldn't be so much of like they physically like overtook. I think I would just, my arms would get tired of picking up 7-year-olds and hucking them 10 yards away.
Every time this question comes up, I always tell people my plan of attack is I would take that first child, and I would take him by the ankles, and I would just take it like a helicopter and just see how many we can mow down.
How many kids for you? How many realistic? I think realistically it would take 100.
Okay, are we talking in waves like COD Zombies type of thing, where like wave 1 is pretty weak, but then you get to wave 20, and now there's more consistently spawning?
Yeah, I mean, if I get bum rushed by 100 7-year-olds, I'm gonna have a tough time with it. But I think I might come out on the other side.
That's my question though, because like,
but we're talking 2-3 at a time, easy money.
Yeah. But if we're talking like all at once, I mean, if you were attacked by chipmunks all at once, you'd be in a bad spot. I've been attacked by a couple of children before, and 3 is a lot more difficult than you'd like to think. One, they just start grabbing limbs and things. Then the other ones just have a open path, kicks to the dick. You're just not free.
That would be my concern. Would be the genital area, mainly because it's right at punching height. Like it's right there. So I'd probably wear a cup just to be safe on that one.
Not allowed. You're not allowed to have protective gear.
It's just a cup. I'm not even asking for a helmet. I feel like my brain is far more vulnerable at this point than my genitalia.
So, okay.
So what's the number? You didn't say a number. Give me a hard and fast number.
If they're all coming,
let's say they're coming about 5 at a time.
I could probably take down around 50 before I got tired.
I think that's fair.
But if we're talking about getting bum rushed, I am saying no more than 10. Probably
I would say if all at once, 10 is a handful. But again, these kids, they're going to have fear. You drop the first one bad, that next kid, can I tell you a story about this? I'm out of my NDA, so I can tell this story.
Oh, God.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I was once the security director at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Weird flex, I know, but it happened. USC Penn State was my Rose Bowl game, and it was back and forth game, kind of a thriller of a game. And I'm standing in the south end zone by the Penn State bench, and I realize that USC is going to come down and score. Okay. Well, the student section's on the north end of the stadium, and they're going bananas. All of a sudden, Penn State scores. They're going nuts. It's a tie ball game. I go, oh, shit, something's about to go down. So my dad called me and said, we saw you running behind the Penn State bench on TV. And I was like, I'm sure he did. I was hauling ass. Anyway, we load the north end zone with cops, with security, with riot squad, the whole nine. And they were going to rush the field because Penn State goes down and kicks the game-winning field goal. One kid, Isaiah, one college kid, hopped the rail, and 2 Pasadena PD officers walk over with billy clubs, crush that dude's ACL. He drops like a sack of potatoes. And you physically saw the next kid's about to go over and go, oh, shit, no thank you. All it takes is one, Isaiah. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay. Good to know.
Dude, that kid dropping was one of the funniest things I've ever seen because he was so hyped that he got on the field. And not did his little feet touch the ground. He got smacked.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl doesn't mess around with people storming the field. I got that.
No.
I got that vibe after the Penn State UCLA game this week, and they were tackling like 70-year-old men.
I'll tell you this much: that shit never would have flown when I was running that joint.
It's crazy.
I had one field incursion, and it was somebody running on the field to go see Messi.
Yeah, okay, but your perspective, if you're there and a winless UCLA team beats a top 10 ranked opponent, you gotta let them rush.
Mm-mm. The Rose Bowl is one of those venues that's held in such a high tier.
Oh my God, it's up. How old is that stadium?
It's coming up on 100, if not 100 already.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Let people have fun.
It's one of the most hallowed grounds in football, but not just that. Like it holds itself to such a high standard that field does not get rushed. It's just that is the standard there. Congrats on the big win, but go party in the parking lot. You ain't coming down here on this field.
Do you know how big of a buzzsaw you sound like right now?
That's fine. The Rose Bowl is a world-class venue for any event. I hold it in the highest regard. It's, in my opinion, one of the greatest venues, if not the greatest venue in the world.
I think there are specific moments in which things can be pushed aside. The lines can be blurred a little bit.
Hey, not at the Rose, baby. Not at the Rose.
But Herb, I'm assuming, I hope you heard this news because it was pretty wild when I got the notification this weekend. But how up to speed are you on the Mark Sanchez controversy right now?
I think as up to date as we can be. It feels like every hour there's more information or some new twist to this whole fucking thing.
So let me lay the scene because I did a lot of background on here because at first you get the notification and it's like Mark Sanchez has been hospitalized. He was stabbed in Indianapolis and we're like, oh, whoa, this is crazy. What possibly could have happened where Mark Sanchez is getting stabbed? Well, it is not what it appeared. So on Sunday, he was charged with felony battery along with a public intox an unlawful entry of a motor vehicle. So, or what happened was he was
allegedly.
No, this is pretty. We can
Nope,
say
it's alleged. It's alleged until he's convicted. Allegedly,
we can allegedly say that there's cameras that caught the following: that at around 12:35 a.m., he was at some pub and eatery. That's where the police were called, where they found a Mark Sanchez who had suffered not just from a singular stab wound, several stab wounds to his upper torso. The police found a 69-year-old man in the alley nearby with cuts to his face. So, according to the affidavit that has been released, Sanchez opened this driver's door and climbed in despite the 69-year-old man being told to leave. This, and to preface this, the 69-year-old man, I believe, was working at that time. He was like delivering or like picking up or dropping something off in a truck. So he was in this alleyway doing his job. So Sanchez gets up into his truck and he's telling him to leave. Mark Sanchez claimed that he spoke to the hotel manager and said that the truck wasn't supposed to be there, which I don't know why he was so bothered that this truck was in an alleyway. But then somehow the guy gets out of the truck. So now they're arguing in this alleyway or whatever. And then Mark Sanchez throws him towards a dumpster or dumpsters. So this guy is like now in fight or flight mode. He has to defend for his life. He says he pepper sprays or tries to pepper spray him to defend himself. And Mark Sanchez just keeps coming. So then he finally pulls out a knife and just starts stabbing him. But I don't know exactly what happened here, but I saw a picture of the victim, the 69-year-old victim, and he literally looks like the Joker, where he has the biggest slash just across his face, and it was probably a good inch and a half wide, spanning from almost like his ear to his mouth.
First of all, Mark Sanchez is not a small man by any means.
It's got to be what?
He's
like
got to be all of
6'3", 230?
Probably in that 230, 220, 230 range. I don't get it. I don't like he must have been wasted. If all of this is true and that story is exactly what played out, he had to have been pissed drunk, in a bad mood, doing too much, to be honest with you. I can't find a single time where I would be at a hotel drunk and be worried about the delivery truck guy. Unless like I was being boxed in or something and I had to move my vehicle. But then again, I'm drinking. I'm not driving anyway. And the other part is he a CBS pundit, Fox? Who's he with?
I believe he was with Fox. He was in town to broadcast the Raiders and Colts game on Sunday, which obviously did not occur. So Brady Quinn filled in for him.
My question would be, where were the handlers? These guys don't just travel out and about when they're on these trips. Like there's production crew, there's executives, team security. Like there is a lot of moving pieces to make an NFL broadcast happen. No, I'm not saying these guys are under lock and key and they got the Secret Service with them, but like there were certainly Fox affiliates at that hotel. It doesn't make any sense. I did see the video. Did you see the video of him coming around the corner at that pub and grill?
I saw him just walking after he'd been stabbed, like casually.
Yeah, his shirt was all bloodied up. I mean, I don't want to sit here and make light of it, but it's kind of a fuck around and find out for Mark Sanchez. I don't understand why you were interjecting. It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes fucking sense.
No.
At all.
This is one
Go ahead.
This is one of the like more random, like crazy out there stories we've heard about a professional athlete in a hot minute.
It's bizarre. It makes no sense for him to walk up to that guy and even acknowledge his existence, to be honest with you.
Like if this was a regular person, they would be talking about how a man attacked another unprovoked. Like it was an unprovoked attack, like just wrong place, wrong time. And he tried picking a fight.
Yeah, it just, I think, truthfully, the craziest part is I'm fairly certain the unlawful entering of a motor vehicle is like the biggest charge of it all.
No, he got.
Is it felony battery?
It's felony battery. The public intox and unlawful entry of a car were both misdemeanors. So the felony carries, I think I read it was like a class 5, so it's like 1 to 5 years in jail, to possibly.
Which he'll never see the inside of a jail cell outside of what he saw getting picked up.
He didn't even go to jail. He was in the hospital.
Oh, true. He's dying.
Yeah, considering his bond, I think, was set at $300. I'm sure he will be fine. But the guy he attacked has already filed a lawsuit, so he will be making a lot of money from that one.
Mm-hmm. It's just so weird. Like, could you imagine acting that way on a work trip?
No, but I'm also not one that likes to stir up, get into fights. I'm a lover, not a fighter, they say.
Oh, is that so, huh?
Yes, I will talk shit to my friends. I rarely will talk shit to other people.
Unless I'm around at the bar with you and then you'll talk shit to people. You see my buddy Herb over there? He'll beat your ass.
Don't worry. I've worked out enough. I can defend myself now, I think.
Unless it's 10 first graders.
Unless it's 15 first graders.
No, the Mark Sanchez thing, it'll be interesting to see how Fox and the NFL handle this.
Oh, he's done.
Obviously,
he's done.
Well, certainly. I wonder how involved the NFL will be.
Yeah, probably not that involved. It's probably all going to be up to Fox, or as long as I think it's Fox. Whoever he's affiliated with, it's going to be up to them. And they're either just going to kick it under the rug and we're just never going to see Mark Sanchez on TV, or they might release a statement or something. But
they're going to have to.
Unless Mark Sanchez has one of the best PR teams out there, there's no way they're going to be able to spin this to look good, especially with the video that's out there. That's a tough one to try and explain.
And what will end up happening is it'll be all deferred judgments, no issue. He's going to pay this guy out $250,000, go away. And that's going to be the end of it, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah, so I guess this serves as a good reminder is don't be in alleyways late at night on the weekends.
Hey, now when Mark Sanchez is in town.
Regardless of where you are, I guess. Jesus.
Head on a swivel.
But getting into the actual games of this weekend, let's not focus on a Mark Sanchez. Where I want to start off, so we'll just go through some of the big news and kind of see where the conversations take us. But my question to you after watching the Eagles-Broncos game, let's take you back. Was it 2 years ago where they started off hot, like 8-0, and then just all fell apart, like hobbled into the playoffs and then lost in that like first game? Or was that 2 years ago?
The thing is, like, calling for Sirianni's head early in the season has been such a regular thing at this point that I can't differentiate the seasons. I think it was 2 years ago. Because
that's where my question is, because I know the Eagles are 4-1 after their loss this week. Their loss to the Broncos this weekend, but the vibes just feel so bad in Philadelphia right now. They had a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter. They end up losing that game because Bo Nix, either by himself or through the help of the Eagles defense, looked like a man unstoppable. He was nearly perfect, essentially. He went, I think it was like 9 for 10, 127 yards, a touchdown with a near perfect passer rating in the fourth quarter. And then leading up to this game, you have all of the A.J. Brown drama in the media where he's kind of throwing shade at the Eagles, but then he comes out saying it wasn't meant to be directed at anybody. Yeah, sure. Really believe that. And then you got reports. Devontae Smith usually is a very quiet person, but there's reports coming out that even he's super annoyed with how the offense is operating. So, you know what they do to come out to try and appease two of their star players? They do a complete 180 on offense. Or do you want to guess at what the pass to rush breakdown was this week for the Eagles?
If you're saying it was that drastic, I'm guessing it was like a 60% pass, 40% run kind of thing.
So on Sunday, the Eagles threw the ball 38 times and ran it only 11. Saquon Barkley had 6 carries the entire game. So if we do the quick math on that, they threw on 77.5% of their offensive snaps on Saturday.
For a team that doesn't throw the ball very well, if we're being completely honest, I don't know if that's the winning formula.
I never knew just because how little they threw. If it was the fact that they threw so little because Hurts just isn't that great of a passer, or their rushing attack was just so effective they didn't really need to run. So I couldn't really tell if like their passing attack was any good, you know?
I think it had to do a lot to this point with they identify that Jalen Hurts is not the strongest passer. That's not a controversial thing to say anymore. Do I think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Do I think he's a capable quarterback in that offense? Absolutely. But it's no secret that he struggles to throw even basic route trees at times. So I think they were masking it. They were aware of the deficiency. They didn't want the NFL to know. We've got a workhorse in Saquon, so just feed him. I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I can already see the Eagles fans rushing to the comments on that because they're going to say that he's completed 67% of his passes and has 7 passing touchdowns and to 0 interceptions, plus another 4 touchdowns on the ground.
No doubt. I'm not saying he can't throw the ball, but there are certain deficiencies there that are apparent game in and game out. And what was his completion percentage for this game?
He completed 23 out of 38, which comes out to 61%.
Decent, right? I would be interested to see what he was percentage-wise on passes longer than 10 yards. That would be very interesting.
You got to give me more heads up, or we need to get a producer that can look these stats up and as we're talking about them. That one's a little bit trickier.
James, no, and that's fine. That would be an interesting stat to really break it down even further. But you've got Saquon, who is a generational talent. Nobody thinks any different of Saquon. I get that even we have sat here and talked shit on this offense for not being able to throw the ball. But at the end of the day, you have to win football games. I'm not saying you have to appease both sides, but when your offense isn't going because the pass game is limited, open up the run. Get Saquon. He's a dangerous weapon. Use him.
I don't know. It feels like the entire offense is just out of rhythm. Fun fact that I learned as I was doing research here was the Eagles have actually been outgained in every game so far this season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I didn't realize because I hadn't heard of a lot of injuries on the Eagles' offensive line, but their offensive line has really struggled so far this season, which I think plays in a little bit to the struggles in the rushing attack. And then when they have struggles in their rushing attack, it doesn't scare defenses and they can kind of sell out or defend the pass a lot easier than they would otherwise because they're not as worried about Saquon gashing them for chunk plays.
And listen, if you have a weaker O-line, you got to get creative in the play calling. You've got to change some stuff up. I tell you what, out of rhythm, out of sync is a great way because neither of us are Eagles fans. We have no vested interest in the Eagles. But when you watch the Eagles game this year, it's an unsettling feeling on offense when they have the ball. There's just something about it where you're just something doesn't look right. That's absolutely the best way to put it.
Yeah, bad vibes. It's just very, very bad vibes for a Super Bowl. The reigning Super Bowl winners Very bad vibes.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't aware that Devontae had come out and said something.
I don't think he came out and said something, but there was like sources reported that he was disgruntled. I think was how I saw that.
Sure, and I don't think A.J. Brown is a diva. I think he's a big personality. I don't know that he's diva level. So for him to come out and say something, I think that's really got to bug him. And my question to you would be, if a move were to be made to offload one of those players, which do you think is most likely to be in the move?
I would imagine probably A.J. Brown, which I have no belief that they will try and move on from him, but I'm sure their thought process is, one, they can extract more value from him. You probably still could get a first-round pick for A.J. Brown. But two, he's the one that's causing more quote-unquote issues in the locker room compared to Devontae Smith. So that would be my assumption, but there's no way that they're going to trade A.J. Brown the year after winning the Super Bowl as you're trying to defend your crown.
No, I agree. It would
but
be
maybe
foolish.
An off-season move, potentially, with how the rest of this year plays out.
Yeah, and they did just sign Devontae before the last season on a contract, if I'm not mistaken. So they might be
recently.
They might be locked in on that one. So, I would agree with you. I think if one were to move, it would be AJ Brown, and I know the Patriots would pay a pretty penny for him.
So then the question is, now that Jaden Daniels is back and it looks like he's healthy, based off the game this Sunday, are the Eagles still the favorite to win the NFC East? Because Washington's just only a game behind right now in the division.
You, as the NFC East, you had an opportunity to start to separate and put the Commanders in the rear view. That's for the Cowboys and the Eagles. You missed an opportunity. You did not capitalize on it. It's going to bite you in the ass. I like the Commanders coming out of this more this year. We got to wait on Jaden. Let's wait and see, make sure he's fully healthy. But if he's fully healthy, yeah, I'm switching my pick to the Commanders, because the Eagles, they don't instill a lot of confidence, and Jaden does.
Yeah, it's definitely a soap opera, and those are always the situations that I try to stay away from. Like, you've never heard over the course of the Patrick Mahomes era in Kansas City, we've seen them have struggles, right? Like, there's been plenty of instances in which there have been concerns for sure voiced within that locker room, but it never comes out. It always stays in-house and is addressed in-house. This is multiple times now over the course of the last couple of years where information from the Eagles locker room that is not painting a pretty picture is making it outside of that locker room. So, yeah, never a good sign, especially when we're only 5 weeks into the season and they're 4-1.
Well, let me ask you this on that. How much of this is Philly is feeding into this? To this little, oh God, like the sky could be falling. I don't think they're quite there yet, but there's murmurs, there's whispers, right? How much of that is it's Philly sports?
I'm sure it was an issue. I think whatever AJ Brown said coming out to the media or his post on Instagram or whatever it was, that was gasoline on the entire thing, because where there's smoke, there's fire type of thing. Like, they were under the assumption that things felt off, things were a little weird. There was a lot of questions as to what's going on. And then that comes out and now it's like, oh yeah, we might actually have a situation on our hand.
I will be more concerned when a defensive, like a big time defensive leader says something and not directly coming out and just saying it as it is, but a little slight in the media or something like that, or a tweet or something. Then we know, like, oh, there's a mutiny. But I don't think it's there yet.
No. Something to keep an eye on, though, moving forward.
But yeah, I mean, still betting favorites, I think, in the NFC, right?
I would imagine.
I thought I saw that.
I haven't been paying attention to futures too closely. But one storyline that I just need to get your 2 cents on. This Geno Smith move to Vegas this offseason is turning out to be an all-time blunder, if you ask me. Not only did Las Vegas trade, I believe it for sure was at least a 3rd-round pick. There might have been some later round picks as well. But then they went ahead and essentially signed him to a 2-year, I think it was $75 million contract, of which $58 million was guaranteed at signing. And you know what he has rewarded the Las Vegas Raiders with, and Pete Carroll for having all that confidence in him? Well, on the season, he has now thrown for a total of 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions after throwing 2 more this weekend, which obviously leads the league, and a passer rating of 75.6, which ranks 27th out of 30 qualified quarterbacks at this moment. Is it time for the Raiders to move on? Is it too soon? I don't know what the depth chart is looking like out there, but this is some rough sailing.
It's too soon, but by their own doing. I'm glad you mentioned the depth chart. They screwed themselves. They did trade a 3rd rounder straight up for Geno. That's all it was a 3rd rounder, but nonetheless, it's a big 3rd round pick. And then in the draft, well, back up, they get Geno. They identify that Aiden O'Connell probably doesn't have a place in their franchise. Okay. They go out and draft 2 guys from the FCS that both have quarterback experience. One is drafted as an athlete/quarterback. The other one's drafted as a receiver who has played quarterback in college. And then kept none of them. I don't even know if they made the practice squad. So then they make the move for Kenny Pickett.
Oh, yeah, that is who the backup is.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that.
So they make a move for Kenny Pickett, who is nobody's future at this point. Couldn't win the job over Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur, and Joe Flacco, for God's sakes. And so the Raiders have done this to themselves by not preparing. I'm not sitting here saying that they needed to have a backup plan, but have a future plan. Why aren't any of these rookie quarterbacks sitting on your roster? Just sitting there learning from Geno. Granted, he's not playing well. You don't want him to learn all that shit, but I think this is a failure by the front office of the Raiders by not having a better plan just in case. I liked Geno going in. I thought they were going to be good when Geno was preseason giving the double birds to Seattle. I don't know if it's a system. It very well could be lack of weapons on the outside. It's not good. The problem is they have nowhere to go. Are you going to go to Kenny Pickett?
That's the question, because I'd have to ask a Raiders fan, because what were the expectations coming into the season? You bring in Pete Carroll, you bring in his quarterback, the guy that he has the most confidence in. What were you guys expecting? Were you expecting to be 6-10, 6-11, I should say? Were you expecting to be a playoff team? Because if you're expecting to be a playoff team, I'd be ready to make a move. You're 1-4. You are probably 1-2 more games away from it being a lost season, if it's not already, right? But how long is this leash with Geno Smith? How long are you going to continue to trout him out there? Because we're 5 weeks into the season, and he's had just 3 or 4 just duds of games. I'm not going to say if he doesn't throw 2 interceptions this weekend against the Colts, they somehow don't lose, because that game was a slaughter regardless. That was final score was 40-6. I think he could have played nearly flawless, and they'd probably still lose that game.
Probably. The leash is as long as it takes them to identify a viable option at their 2 quarterback. The bigger issue is, and I think what we're seeing with teams like the Bengals, right? And so at points so far this season, the Niners were having these discussions of, if it's not our guy, who is it? Who can we go out and trade for? The trade market for quarterback is terrible right now. I mean, Anthony Richardson is probably the number one guy available in terms of trade. And I've expressed how I feel about Anthony Richardson. It's not good. So they're between a rock and a hard place. Would you trade for a Jameis or an Andy Dalton already having Geno there?
I don't know. I really don't know. But honestly, as the days go by and we're seeing these quarterback struggles around the league, I am just still shocked to this point that Kirk Cousins is still sitting with a clipboard in Atlanta. I know that he's getting paid whatever amount of money. If that's just poor management from a Falcons standpoint, that they're not saying, dude, we will eat, because they're already eating the contract. He's not playing, right? Say, hey, fuck it, we're going to eat a majority of the guaranteed money that's left on here. Somebody would throw them a first-round pick for Kirk Cousins.
Ooh.
If the Falcons
50% of that contract, I wouldn't give up a first round.
Dude, the Vikings gave up a first-round pick for Sam Bradford.
Well, like hey, bad franchises make bad decisions. I don't know what to tell you.
Carson Wentz went for a third-round pick and a second-round pick that turned into a first-round pick.
Yeah, God, if somebody trades the first round for Kirk, we would be sitting here having a discussion about the value at which that pick that feels too steep for me.
One of these teams, I just don't know how desperate these teams are to make a move if they haven't made a move yet. Like the Bengals have willingly trotted out Jake Browning for the last 3 weeks, and it has been an absolute dumpster fire at this point. And Zach Taylor's out there in the media saying, this is our guy. Like, we still believe in him, blah, blah, blah. That's like, sir, I don't know if we've been watching the same games the last 3 weeks, but the dude that you are throwing out there doesn't even look like he could win a JV game right now.
Yeah. Hey, with the Falcons, real quick, because you made a good point about he's sitting there with a clipboard and getting paid all this money. In my opinion, they are holding him hostage as the most expensive insurance policy. And that speaks to, I don't know that the Falcons are like 100% confident that Penix is or can be the guy, and that's why they are holding Kirk hostage. I don't disagree that Kirk shouldn't be there. Kirk should be playing for one of these teams, the Bengals. I talked about Kirk with the Niners in a big way. I feel bad for Kirk because I think he wants out. He wants to play, obviously, but I think he wants out of that situation. And the Falcons are like, there is no way we're moving you.
Sorry, as a Vikings fan, I have no sympathy for Kirk Cousins. He went and chased a bag. He got a bag, and now it's the consequences of his own choosing. Obviously, he might not have been aware that the Falcons were going to go and draft a quarterback 8th overall the same offseason, but you wanted the money. I think the Vikings were more than willing of having him back at a certain price point, and he said no. So this is your grave. You dug this yourself. Now you get to go lie in it. So I'm not going to sit here and feel bad that the dude's sitting on the sideline making whatever $40-50 million.
That's fair.
And
I mean,
but I do
talk about the easiest money you ever made.
Yeah, but I do believe he is being held hostage, and that's simply just the Falcons being so stubborn, knowing how much money that they essentially wasted on him. They are just trying to hold out for a first, second round pick, and that just hasn't been met yet, is my guess. Because they essentially said that they didn't want to pick up, or I don't know if it was not pick up any of the remaining cash on the deal, or if it was just a significant chunk they weren't willing to pick up. But I think that was kind of what's stopping them, which is at this point really stupid because it's just like in baseball. The second you start taking on like retaining some salary, the value that you're able to get in return exponentially increases. So you already know it's a sunk cost. Might as well just eat it, maybe get a first, second round pick. They already have 2 next year. Try and get a third. Screw it.
And in your evaluation of Kirk Cousins being a first round pick, if that were true, if that held true, when I sit here and think about the teams in quarterback need, which very well could be the Niners, depending on Mac Jones's health, the Bengals, the Raiders seem like they would be the only team that would be willing to part with a first rounder for Kirk. I think the Bengals are in a position of Joe's probably going to be back this year, late, but probably.
By the time he's ready to come back, they'll be dead. So
they'll be too far gone, certainly. But nonetheless, like, you got to sit there and look: is that investment of a first round pick worth it when we're getting for the Bengals when we will eventually get our guy back?
No.
Yeah. So I think the Raiders are the only one that could sit there and say that value would benefit us. But again, I don't see you hanging on to Geno and then bringing in basically same aged Kirk Cousins. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. And there's not going to be a trade market for Geno, I'll tell you that much.
Not with what we've seen so far. That's for sure.
No. Dude, they were hoping and praying that they got Pete Carroll and Geno together, and it was going to be like that first year in Seattle where this incredible playoff run, and it just fell flat. But they need a receiver.
I mean, we've been knowing that for a hot second, though. It's not like this is anything new, especially after the Devontae Adams trade last year.
Yep. Yeah. The Raiders in a bad way with not a lot of hope of the future.
No. But that game last night, I don't know how much of that you caught between the Patriots and the Bills, but it looks like your boy, Mikey Vrabel, might have the Patriots looking like little sneaky contenders potentially in the AFC. If not sneaky contenders, I was already in love with Drake Maye, just because the Vikings I thought had an outside chance of drafting him last season, and that was the guy I really wanted in that draft. And you see exactly why, because he is starting to look like a star, in my opinion.
We've seen the beginning of it. We have seen the beginning of it. I said when Vrabel took that job, give him a little time, because I think a little bit of the old Patriot way was going to come back. Obviously, Vrabel coming up under Belichick and things like that. But he hit the gas on this thing. I mean, they're doing a lot of the things that the Titans were doing under Vrabel, which I really like. You've got a really solid pass rush game. I mean, Harold Landry's having a great year. You've got a solid defensive secondary. Your quarterback is developing, becoming better. Your run game is way more pronounced than it was last year. And they built up the O-line. I mean, they just did all the right things. They hired the right guy. They drafted the right people. I'm excited about Drake Maye. I think I'm on board with you. I was saying he was going to benefit the most by sitting after being drafted, but by the end of the whole thing, we'd be sitting here saying Drake Maye was probably the best quarterback to come out of that class.
Yeah, for the listeners, to put it in perspective, the dude is completing on the season 74% of his throws for almost 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, QBR 63.7, which only puts him at 15th, but he's added another 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. For a second-year quarterback, those stats are, especially with the weapons too. Stephon Diggs, yes, has finally started coming on a little bit the last 2 weeks. Hunter Henry's kind of been that safety valve, but outside of that, you got Pop Douglas, Bodie, Kyle Williams, their rookie that they drafted from Washington State, who hasn't really done anything as of yet. And then you have to deal with your running backs, a.k.a. Ramondre Stevenson, who can't seem to hold on to the goddamn ball at this time at this point. So I think he's being asked to do a little bit more than they might have been hoping for coming into this season. I'm sure Vrabel probably wanted to rely on the run game a little bit more than they've been able to thus far. But I think with what he's shown thus far, we're just going to start seeing more and more of what he can do, which is a scary thought for opposing defenses.
See, and I think Ramondre might have lost himself the starting job last night in a hurry. I think Travion Henderson is going to get to start next week and solidify himself as a starter. Don't be shocked if he goes bananas next week.
Well, Antonio Gibson, news did break. He did tear his ACL, so that's one less head in that backfield. And I will pump the brakes on what you just said there. Considering Ramondre fumbled, it was twice, right? Yesterday, he fumbled 2 times.
Yes.
Not once, but twice. And yet, Henderson still couldn't find it on the field. News comes out later that he might have tweaked his ankle on one of the opening kickoffs, blah, blah, blah. So that might be playing into it. But it seems like Ramondre Stevenson has some blackmail that he has on Mike Vrabel that's like, you ain't keeping me out there, coach. I'm going back in. Because
you can't hold me down.
It does not seem like the man can do no wrong at this point, which is wild because he has to have the... Don't quote us. Don't quote me. It feels like he has to have the most fumbles in the league at this point. It feels like he is just dropping everything.
Him or Caleb Johnson?
No, because Caleb Johnson doesn't get into the games anymore.
No, he got benched after 2 straight weeks of fumbling, and they said, "Nah, we're good, brother."
Yeah.
No, Ramondre, he's a heavy power back. He's got wheels. Don't get me wrong, but he is a between the tackles bruiser. That is what Vrabel has predicated his entire offensive scheme on. So I think that's where that comes from. But Henderson is a firecracker. I mean, that guy could go off at any second. So I'd like to see more of that. With Antonio Gibson going down, that's your pass-catching running back. Henderson, time to get involved. Let me say this about Maye. Again, I think we're both big fans of Maye. From a second-year guy, we see Caleb get flustered in games. We've seen Bo Nix get flustered in games so far this year. Jaden, not so much. He's pretty even keel. Drake Maye just keeps composure, maintains right where he needs to be for his team. It's impressive to see. I think that speaks a lot to how mentally ready he was coming out of college to lead, not just be quarterback, but to lead a franchise.
Yeah, which is something I think might have been a knock on him ever so slightly in the draft process, because he's kind of like Herbert, right? When Herbert came out, just very nonchalant, more of a quiet guy, it felt like, where it almost like worked against him in a way where I want my quarterback to be the leader, very boisterous, very rah type of thing. And that's just not who Drake Maye is. But at the same time, it almost benefits him being that way because he doesn't get too high, too low. It's just it's the same in every situation that he's in.
And I think for Herbert, Chargers fans get frustrated with that sometimes, where they're like, I wish he would show some emotion, some fire or something. It's not who he is. I think Drake Maye is going to be the same way. You're going to get, I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but you're going to get touches of Tom Brady's composure along the way, kind of where Tom would get fired up at times. I think Drake Maye is kind of that style of leader. Again, not comparing his play to Tom Brady, not even close. But what a great quarterback, and what a great situation for Vrabel to be in, where you've got a trusted guy. When in the NFL right now, it doesn't seem like there are a lot of trusted guys at the quarterback position with how many teams are having quarterback issues.
So then, Herb, I'll pose the question to you right now. Right now, the Patriots, after that win last night, they hold the 7th seed at 3-2. Call your shot right now. Do you think that they will sneak into the playoffs? The teams that they are currently battling are the Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, Bengals, Texans. Those are all and the Chargers. Those are all the teams that are 3-2.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at their schedule right now. If they maintain this level of play, or even a percentage of it, because you had to go out and beat a good Bills team last night, which we'll talk about here in a second about the Bills. Their toughest game on the schedule upcoming, December 21st at Baltimore.
No, you missed the Bucs game.
Excuse me, sorry, November 9th, the Bucs at the Bucs. So you've got at the Bucs in November. 2 weeks into December, you're playing the Bills at home, and then you go to the Ravens the next week. Outside of that, you're playing a lot of the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Browns. So, yeah, looking at their schedule, and if we see this type of play week in and week out, they're going to make the playoff. I don't know if they'll win a game. I could see them being a first-round exit. But you look ahead at their strength of schedule. If they drop 3 more games, they're in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, speed running through their schedule, I can easily count 6 or 7 spots where they can get a win. And I think 9-10 wins is getting you in the playoffs.
And I think that is a huge testament to Mike Vrabel as a coach. I was screaming it when he was in Tennessee. He is and should be considered for the NFL Coach of the Year once again, because he is that good. I know his offensive game planning isn't spectacular, but he always does a great job bringing in guys who are experts at that. Because he admittedly has said, I don't know shit about fuck on the offensive side of the ball. Let me bring dudes in. Who know this shit and I can trust. Vrabel will continue to amaze me as a head coach. When he was outed in Tennessee, I to this day, that makes me sick to my stomach.
It should. It very much should.
Especially you look at what we're doing now with our fucking coaching staff. What a monumental franchise shifting move by the Titans that was just asinine. And they know that now for sure.
Yeah, I think that plays into why you see some of these coaches that have been around for so long and they've had, like, they'll make it to the postseason, right? But can't seem to win the big one. Sean McDermott's the first one that comes to mind. They probably look back at Tennessee getting rid of Vrabel and realizing, maybe it's not worth it, to move on from a guy that is a very good coach. Eventually they'll break through, right? Because I think that's why Vrabel got fired, is because just couldn't kind of take that next step in the playoffs.
Yes, I will agree. And now now we had the first overall pick and we're gunning for it again.
No, the Jets would like to have a word.
We're gunning for it again.
Man, you're going to look back at the end of the season and you are going to have nightmares of DeMercado from the Arizona Cardinals dropping the ball at the goal line, and that being the interception that turned into a Tyler Lockett recovering in the end zone. That's going to be like a nightmare in your head. And that was
the difference.
And that's going to be the reason why you guys don't get the number 1 overall pick.
And that's fine, because we can't go quarterback at number 1. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so you guys were in a perfect position then. Either trade down and get a couple of extra picks, or you just go and get the best player available, which hopefully would have been an edge rusher.
Yeah. Maybe we might be taking a receiver in the top 3 if we're being completely honest.
Shoot.
I don't know if that receiver's in the game right now.
Too bad it's the wrong year to pick a receiver top of the draft.
Yeah, I'd rather wait for next year to go get Smith or Williams. But let me say this about the Titans, okay? if we have a top 5 pick, I'm just going to throw this out there now. If we have a top 5 pick, I want them to trade out of it, because if you look at our roster across the board, it is horrific. It lacks any sort of depth. The starters are hardly stars. So I think Tennessee is going to be in a position where we need quality players and in handfuls, not just one dude to come make the difference. Just want to get that on record. I'm calling it, the local Titans fans calling it, trade out of the top 5.
Some groundbreaking analysis there. I think I'm not telling any Titans fan something they didn't already think.
No, and let's be honest, no one cares. Nobody cares. I get it. I understand how irrelevant we are in the NFL right now.
But let's stick with that game for a second, because I'm sorry, but that game was wild. I remember you texted me. Was it halftime by then, or was it before halftime? And you're just like, fuck it. You're like, fuck it. Fire everybody. Sell off.
Let me read it to you. Let me grab it here. Okay?
Because I'm sitting there.
Let me find it.
To be completely honest with you, I was doing some chores and stuff. And then I looked down at my phone. I wasn't really paying attention to the afternoon games. And I got Herb texting me. You can tell he was mad. He was big upset. I want to know how
bad.
early.
It was so bad.
I want to know how early in the game that was.
I tweeted it. Oh, it doesn't have my time, does it? Yeah, it does. 4:45. Game kicked off at 3:20. So right about before half. I tweeted out, plain and simple, fire him. Fire the OC, fire the O-line coach, trade Pollard and Ridley for the best value. Defense, keep playing hard. Tried and true, a humble fanatic. We won, sure. Awesome. Cam Ward gets his first win. Absolutely. We, under no circumstance, should have won that football game.
Not in the slightest.
We were down 21-3 fast. And it was ugly. We couldn't move the ball. We couldn't throw the ball. Our punts looked terrible. The defense had fucking semi-holes that they could run through. I mean, it was so bad. The offensive play calling was just awful. And I thought maybe we're going to get Tajay Spears back this week, and I know we have to work him in slowly. Saw him on the field maybe 5 times. Cool. Offensive line looked worse as ever, and it's a makeshift offensive line too. J.C. Latham's not out there. Right guard is by committee. We shouldn't have won that game. Quite literally, the DeMercado fumble won us the game.
I would argue there's 2 plays that decided the entire game. It was the DeMercado fumble, which I do not know how for the life of me. We are in 2025, and we still have dudes dropping the ball before crossing the end zone. You know how mind-numbing that is to watch as an NFL fan? Like, what is the difference of celebrating there compared to the back of the end zone?
It is discipline. You played high school athletics. I played high school athletics. When you were doing conditioning, what was like the one thing coaches were always yelling?
Run through the line.
Run through the line. There's a reason. It was the most. It pissed you off more than anything when you were a high school kid. Pissed me off in college when coaches would yell that, right? But it translates. Run through the fucking line, DeMercado. And this isn't the first time we've seen this recently. We're good for 1 or 2 of these a year in both NFL and college. It makes no sense. It's not a touchdown till the ball crosses the line. Your job as a running back is to score touchdowns. So you can't even do that. And what a run. What a 70-yard, absolutely beautiful run ruined by your own foolishness. As a professional athlete, I find that so wildly unacceptable.
Especially from a dude that normal season, 3rd string running back, moves up the depth chart a little bit, so he's actually getting an increase in snaps. And this is what you do with it. Talk about ruining every opportunity that you have moving forward. That's the quickest way to lose your coach's trust, unless your name is Ramondre Stevenson in New England, then you'd be okay. But that is not the case here.
But at least Ramondre was getting hit.
Yeah.
There's nobody near DeMercado. Like, that is such a lack of discipline and a mental error in that moment. And it was catastrophic. I still don't understand it. Again, you're a professional athlete. Do things right. I tell you what, though, nobody was more upset about it than head coach Steve Gannon.
Jonathan Gannon.
What I said, Steven? Apologies. Jonathan Gannon. Nobody was more upset than him.
I'm assuming you saw the clip where it looks like he hits DeMercado on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say I've seen a coach assault one of their players in a hot minute in the NFL. Saw it in college, I think, a couple times last year, but not in the NFL.
So, assault, I think, is strong for me. I know what you're going for there, but I think it's strong for me.
He laid hands on him.
Slapping a football player on the shoulder pads is a very, very common practice.
I'm pretty sure it was his gut, and I'm just going by the definition of what assault is.
Fair enough. Smacked him in the chest. My issue is the anger in which it was done with is tough for me. Hey, get your head right and slap him on the shoulder pad, or get your head right, get back in this game, let's go win. Right? That's completely different. I think probably something to that effect was said, and then Gannon took it out at the last second. That, I don't think people they're professionals and this is the job and they'll be fine. I don't think people realize what that could potentially do to that relationship and the relationship between Gannon and the players as a whole. But then you saw the two offensive linemen that were trying to talk to DeMercado. Will Hernandez, and I can't remember, it was number 70, I think, didn't react to it. If it were truly I'm going to come up and hit you because you pissed me off, I have a feeling that his teammates would have gotten in that coach. Whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you, big fella?
Or at least been quicker to break it up.
Yeah. So, that's just a coach who needs to get his emotions in check. You are the head of this thing. You can't have it. You can go over and fire your boy up and talk to him and even reprimand him for that, which totally deserved. But the veracity and the anger on his face when he slapped him, that's where I've got to draw that line and have a bit of an issue with.
And I think that's just true emotions coming out, because I honestly think Jonathan Gannon knows that he's coaching for his job at this point. He started the season 2-0, obviously not the most impressive wins over the Saints and Panthers, but they had that early season momentum. And then the last 3 games, they lose each of those on a last-second field goal. And a lot of that was due to shooting themselves in the foot, more or less, in a lot of those games. It's not so much that they were outplayed. They did that to themselves, especially in this game. There's 2 instances. You can identify exactly the plays that changed this game. And now they're 2-3, and it does not look good, right? All the momentum's gone, and Jonathan Gannon is struggling to build off that momentum that they had last season, where they finished 8-9. We thought with all those changes that they made on the defensive side of the ball that this would be the year that they get back to the playoffs. But you can see the frustration, and again, another team with just doesn't seem like great vibes. I'd rather have my quarterback act like Drake Maye or Justin Herbert than whatever the hell Kyler Murray is doing out there on a football field. That dude is nonchalant in the worst way. Did you see that one the pass, intentional grounding that he had, where he literally ran in the circle and then just plopped it 3 inches, not 3 inches, but 3 feet in the air. Not even, probably wasn't 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, and for sure, probably 15 yards from the closest receiver.
Yeah, so much so that the Titans 100% thought that was a fumble.
That he looks like he does not like playing football. I'll be completely honest with you.
No, he'd rather be at home playing COD. I know it's like an old joke at this point, but that is seemingly fact.
Yeah, I don't know about you, and getting off topic here, but I am all out on Kyler Murray. That dude, I've seen enough at this point. That dude he is maybe a 20th best quarterback in the NFL.
He's not worth the money. I know that much.
I know that for a fact.
And real quick, before we get off the Cardinals, I just pulled up their schedule real quick of like where are they going to be at in a month, right? They have the potential to lose 5, 8 straight, 7 straight. Can I run you through this real quick?
It must be a gauntlet. Yeah, hit me.
At Colts, then you host the Packers, then you go to the Cowboys, then you go to Seattle, then you host the Niners, which Purdy should be back, then you host the Jaguars, then you go to the Buccaneers, and then you host the Rams. They could drop every single one of those games potentially.
Yeah, it could get ugly.
Quickly. You overpaid a quarterback who hasn't lived up to anywhere near the expectations of first round or first overall pick. You've got running back issues now with the health, and you just let, and I'll say it, the Titans are the worst team in the NFL. You let them mount a massive an embarrassing comeback at home in your house. Tough vibes.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I will say Callahan didn't save his job with that win. I want to make that very, very clear.
No. That win was gifted in the nicest wrapped box I've ever seen before, and gently
with
laid at his
big old bow on that thing.
Trying to look at Kyler Murray's contract. Looks like he still has 2 more years remaining on this deal. Then they're trying to see what his dead cap. Oh, just kidding. Essentially, he has
what's he averaging? 38, 42 million a year?
Average salary is 46 mil, but NFL contracts are super confusing. So next year they're probably stuck with him next season, but then the year after that they could cut him and only have a dead cap of 7.2 million.
Hey, Raiders, give him a call.
He'll be 30 by then, and I'll be honest, if he makes it to 30, probably lasted longer than I expected him to when he was drafted.
I had higher hopes when he was drafted, but I knew there would be some limitations. I didn't think it would be this bad.
Yeah, it's not. I can't. If you're a Cardinals fan, let us know in the comments. Tell us your Kyler Murray experience.
I'm going to be working with one tomorrow. I will be sure to get a full report on what Arizona Cardinal fans are feeling right now.
But Herb, those are the main things I wanted to touch on in the NFL. Anything else top of mind before we switch gears over to college football?
Can I talk about fantasy real quick?
Depends.
Bye weeks in fantasy have got to be one of the more infuriating things to go through, especially being in 4 leagues and trying to navigate 4 different players. And that's my fault. But 4 different wires. Bye weeks can kiss my ass in fantasy. God, did it. Week 5 and week 12 for me are just going to be real kicks in the balls.
Herb, you're complaining about bye weeks. This is the first one.
Yeah.
And there's only
it's not the first one in my fantasy career.
And there's only 4 teams that didn't play. Who are you relying on from the Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Steelers if you didn't have the only relevant players were Bijan Robinson, Drake London,
nope,
Roma Dunze,
have him,
maybe Josh Jacobs.
Don't have him.
Depending how you feel about that one. And DK Metcalf.
Have him too.
No.
That's poor drafting on my part. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying bye weeks suck.
No, I'll give you a pass because when I draft my team, I never look at the bye week. I honestly hope they all line up the same week, and I can just chalk it up for an L.
Take the L.
That
Take
one
the L.
week.
And I'm like super conscious of it, and then somewhere along the draft, I stop paying attention, and then you look down and you go, "Oh God, I have 5 guys on bye week on the same week," and you're like, "Oh, I'm screwed. I'm screwed anyway."
But since we are talking about fantasy shit, I knew I should have saved this tweet. I saw this dude's draft and it was like his round 1 through 10 picks or some shit like that, and it was the most tragic thing I think I've ever seen before in my life. And
the best one I've seen was a guy out of Indianapolis who drafted the Indianapolis Colts roster. So he has Daniel Jones, JT, Tyler Warren, Pittman, Alec Pierce, Colts D. Like he has the entire every Colts player you could pick, he has. So he is riding or dying, and I bet you he is winning games right now.
Yeah, Colts have been very, very nice so far.
Danny Dimes, baby. Although I had to start Daniel Jones in one of my leagues. Shouldn't say I had to, but bye weeks did push me into a corner on that. For a team that scored 40 points, he did not perform in fantasy as if his team had 40 points.
You didn't thank Jonathan Taylor for that one?
Yep. Hey, while we're here, how many leagues are you in? You're in 2?
2 that actually matter.
And then the guillotine?
Yeah, which is just no money involved in that one.
And did you make it through guillotine this week?
Oh yeah, I still haven't spent a money on of my fab either.
Hey, we might need to make that a weekly. We got to check in, see if you're still in it.
I just don't know when I finally need to make a move. You want to my roster, dude? Just listen to how well I drafted. I haven't had to do anything. So
is this the roster that I helped you draft a little bit?
I'll start reading it and you can tell me or remind me. The only change I've had to make or tweak to my roster that I drafted was I had to pick up Sam Darnold because Caleb Williams was on a bye this week.
Yep.
And perfect week to pick him up too after throwing for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards. So it originally was Caleb Williams, Genty, Bill, Krosky Merritt from the Commanders, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Goedert, Ted McMillan, and Chris Olave.
Oh, so you're just waiting for that team to pop. Your team hasn't even popped yet.
They popped this week, 140 points. Easily the most points I've scored this week in a week so far.
I scored 170 in my Dynasty League. And
then I had Goddard. You know how Goddard was out, 2 weeks ago? So I had to pick up a tight end. You know the tight end I was smart enough or lucky enough to pick up?
Cade Otton or Harold Fannin Jr.?
Theo Johnson.
Yep, there it is. Yep, there it is.
I can do no wrong in this league right now.
Magic touch, I guess.
In the one league that does not matter whatsoever.
Yeah, get this though. I score 170 points in my fantasy league, right? I only won by 4.
Do not get me started on that whatsoever, because in the one league that I truly care about, you want to hear what has been done to me the last couple of weeks?
Oh boy.
So going back to week 2, I score 130 points. I'm like, oh, this looks nice. Team I play scores 170. I score 143 points the next week. The team I play scores 150. Score 130 points again. Team I play scores 170. score 137 points this week. And he is currently at 147 points, and Xavier Worthy is still playing, or Travis Etienne is still playing. I'll get the final stats, but I believe I am one of the highest scoring teams, and I am just getting pounded every single week.
So is this a league in which I probably know quite a few of the members?
Every single one of them.
And they very well could listen to this podcast?
Very, very likely, possibly.
Let me speak to him real quick. Let me tell him a little something. Listen, you little bastards, all right? I'm looking into you for collusion. How dare you do my boy like this? This has gone too far, okay? He's a proud husband and a good man. How dare you people do this to him every week, week in and week out? Shameful. Hey, don't worry, buddy. I got your back.
Yeah, listen to this. So the most points against in this league, it goes by the nickname Tidy. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Big goofy bastard. I know the guy.
Before this week, so this is without counting this week, he had 623 points scored against him, which was first. I was second at 606. The third most is 551.
Jesus, that's a whole nother game.
That's how, that's just bad luck at that point.
I was there at one point last year where he just caught
every 565 and then 550.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I was in that spot. It's tough because there's just nothing you can do. Your team is performing. You are excited. You're like, holy shit, I'm scoring points. There's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, and I put up 140 points this week with a hodgepodge roster of, I had to start Keon Coleman, Jordan Mason, Zach Ertz, who gave me a fat 0. I thought Woody Marks was going to be the steal of the season. Dud. Did start Rico Dowdle, though. That was clutch.
Was that based off of expert analysis?
No, I just saw Chuba was out, and I knew I needed somebody to start.
Somebody's got to go.
And I, stupidly enough, smart enough, I picked up Michael Carter. Dumb enough, I didn't start him because I thought Woody Marks was going to go crazy. Yeah. Did in fact not go crazy. So yeah.
Can I tell you this real quick? Just last thing on fantasy. I rate this roster. It's not mine, but it is a roster in our league. Okay. In my big time league. Let me just read this off for you. Okay. Justin Fields, Justice Hill, Blake Corum, Justin Jefferson, Ladd McConkey, Mark Andrews, Olave, Cooper Kupp. Now, that is with Benson and Jackson both out and Aaron Jones. So I understand that he's got to kind of make a mix of it. But that running back room is brutal.
Not envious, if that's what you're trying to ask.
You know you're not going to have a good Sunday when Justice Hill is in your starting running back spot.
Hey, if any week you were going to get points from him, though, it would have been this one when they got absolutely trounced.
Yeah, he got 2.2.
Yeah, missed it by a week.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We can stop with our fantasy woes and flip over to college football. Ooh. And there's not a ton here that we need to touch on, but the two biggest ones obviously have to be the upsets of Penn State in Texas. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Penn State? Or you want to start with Texas?
Why don't we start with the one that we've been talking about for 3 weeks and haven't been fucking wrong yet?
I think what Herb is trying to say is we are about to give a damnation on Penn State football.
Let me start. Okay? Let me start.
Let me clear my throat.
Yep. It's a tough road game going across the country.
Nope, stop. I'm stopping you already.
Hold on.
Nope.
No. Hold on. It is tough to go from Eastern Standard to Pacific Standard. That is where difficulty ended for the Nittany Lions. That was the hardest part of this whole thing, was boarding a private chartered flight and flying from Philly to Los Angeles and navigating off the tarmac at LAX. You're in Los Angeles. It was 85 degrees. The sun is shining. The beach is 5 miles away. And you decided to go into UCLA and make the Bruins look like a team.
Keep going. Keep going.
I know they can't fire James Franklin, but boy, if there was ever a case to fire a coach on the tarmac, it was that. It was that game.
Why do you say they can't fire him? I think there are plenty of people within the Penn State fan base and organization that are more than happy to move on from.
I'm sure, but mid-season, I just don't know that Penn State can do that because it's Penn State. So you were by and large the superior team. UCLA's got to be one of the worst teams in college football right now. Their only star power is Nico, and he has played like cheeks this year.
Not this game.
I'm going to tell you. Well, I know early in the episode I was talking about how great the Rose Bowl is. It truly is, especially with the Rose Bowl game. But I've been at Josh Rosen UCLA games, and for a stadium that holds 110 plus, there were maybe 40,000 people. So it's not like you're going into some hostile environment in LA.
And it
should have felt like a Saturday morning freshman B game with how few people were at that fucking game.
And of the 40,000, I'm pretty sure half of them were probably Penn State fans too.
Yes. I know we sat here and said that James Franklin can't win big games. This wasn't a big game. This should have been get off the plane, go to work, go home. Done. We won by 20.
Okay, but a couple things to know, or to add context to this. Going into this game, the most points that UCLA had scored on offense was 23 against UNLV in week 2. They dropped 42 on Penn State. You know what makes that worse, Herb? It's the fact that the defensive coordinator from Penn State, Jim Knowles, is the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country at over $3 million. He was literally lured away from Ohio State. So shit like this did not happen. And then, I had another point.
And you've been singing Jim Knowles' praises. And that's not a knock on you. Like, I was familiar with this game, but not as in-depth, and started taking a look at it because you've brought him up a few times. He's highest paid, arguably one of the best, if not the best. But
yep. And
yikes.
Coming into this game specifically, we had kind of talked a little bit about it after the loss to Oregon, but we had circled on their calendar. They had a game against Ohio State and a game against Indiana. And we pretty much said that to get to the playoff, they probably need to split those games, if not win both of them, right? Well, now we're looking at a situation in which they have to win both of those games to even have a chance. But after dropping this game, the ESPN model, the SP Plus that I have kind of been mentioning in the past episodes, has dropped them, gives them a 1.6% chance of winning out and finishing 10-2. The model has them now
I would put it almost at 0
to finish the season 7-5.
They finished 7-5. James Franklin.
I know his buyout.
I mean, he's not recovering from
that. Massive. I want to say it's $50 million plus or something. But that is going to be a long and hard conversation, I feel like, this offseason for Penn State, regardless of how this season ends, just due to the expectations that they had coming into this season, the amount of resources that they've poured not only into their roster, but their coaching staff. Anything less than making it to the playoffs is unacceptable. Let's be completely honest here. And this is just a reoccurring thing that has happened in James Franklin's time. I've never seen a team that has been consistently ranked within the top 5 or top 10 fall on their face so frequently or fail to live up to the moment. Like you would,
unfortunately,
you would think
Penn State's known for. That's their brand.
Happen by accident across one of these. The biggest win that he has in his history, I guess I can't discount. They did win the Big Ten title, and then still didn't make the playoff, whatever year that was. I was going to say, outside of that game, his biggest win that he can hold his head on was beating Boise State in the playoff last year, which, no offense to Boise State, I'm not impressed by.
No. And like in terms of Big Ten wins, the biggest one I can think of is when they beat Iowa at Iowa under the lights. The only reason I remember that game is because I was there and working, and they had to fucking by the skin of their teeth win that game. It's unacceptable by Penn State standards.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's so bad.
Like, does James Franklin take it upon himself? Probably not with the buyout to step away, but the amount of criticism that he is facing right now, you almost start to ask the question, is it worth it? Because he is just getting dragged, as he should. Like, I'm not saying that this isn't partially his fault, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think he's the type of guy, though, there's a pride level to it, certainly. I don't know if you've seen much of his sideline interaction with fans and how snippy he's gotten as of late. Like, oh, you think you can do it? Why don't you come on down? Come down to the team. Kick for the team. Come on down. Like, things that I understand where the frustration comes from, but a little bit unbecoming of what should be a top 5 team, if we're being completely honest. It's clear James Franklin can't win the big games. Doesn't matter who your quarterback is. Doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. You can't win big games, and now we're dropping easy. And I mean, you should have been able to go in there and start your backups and still get it.
The last thing I forgot that I was going to bring up.
So
UCLA came into this game with not just without a head coach, without an offensive coordinator, and without a defensive coordinator. This was literally the most hodgepodge thrown together operations or coaching staff you very well may ever see in a college football game, high school football game, NFL football game. That amount of change does not happen week to week like they saw.
No. Not even close. And shout out Jerry Neuheisel. That's the story of the game, right?
Work his way into the job if he wants it, which I'm sure he would take it in a heartbeat. That dude, outside of Bill Walton, and maybe that's about it. Or not Bill Walton, sorry.
Kareem.
No, the coach.
Kareem.
Yeah, John Wooden. I don't know if there's a guy that bleeds more UCLA blue than Jerry Neuheisel does.
No, I mean, been there forever, played there. Did not have a great career there, but has been coaching 9 years and coached them all at UCLA, as I understand it. So, yeah, you love that's a feel-good story. I thought, truthfully, like the way they were celebrating, I thought he was head coaching. I thought he had taken over the job. And they're like, no, he's just offensive coordinator, hadn't called plays, had 2 days to figure it out. Hey, congrats, Jerry Neuheisel. Congrats to the UCLA Bruins.
I will say,
I thought he was head coaching this thing.
One of the funniest things, though,
we'll pump the brakes on that, but
he was like, "Yeah, this was my first time ever calling plays." So he's never had to operate the the boombox and stuff and the mic, and he's like, yeah, there was multiple times where I'm like trying to call the plays, but then I forget that my mic's up, so then I have to put the mic down, and then I'm fumbling around with the buttons and I'm pressing the wrong buttons, and yet they still put up 42 points somehow. If they were able to execute their offense this well with all of that going on, imagine they get that sorted out. UCLA may not be an easy out any longer.
Yeah, I mean, Nico's not if they're going to keep doing this, and Nico is going to take proper coaching from a guy like Newcastle. While I don't think UCLA is going to be bowl bound, I don't think it's a walk.
It helps that Nico actually decides to use his legs now. Hadn't seen that all season, and then he remembered that he is a very athletic human being that should probably do that. He really tried to sell out to be a pro style quarterback to prove to all the scouts that he can throw the ball, blah blah blah. Dude, if you want to impress the scouts, play your game, which means you need to use your legs and run.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, before we get off that, just real quick back to Penn State. Let's say that this thing does go to 7-5 and it's ugly. They fire James Franklin. Who's your first pick for Penn State head coach? Because that's a high-profile gig. Like, you can't just hire anybody.
I would say that the pool for college coaches is a lot deeper. So I don't have a name top of mind that I can think of. But I would have to think that it is somebody that has the experience with top-tier teams, right? I don't feel like this is going to be the situation where you bring in somebody for a first-time head coaching gig.
Correct. And I don't think you can even go after a non-Power 4 head coach either. I don't know that this job is suited for a guy coming from Coastal Carolina or USF or Memphis. It's too big. You've really got to know what you're doing in terms of program building and the structure of it. Can I throw a name at you? Because I think Penn State requires a certain blue-collar mentality, a hard work, dedication mentality. That's just kind of who they are, right? They're the coal miners and the factory workers or their fan base. Like, this is who you have to go after. Who better to come from a guy or come from a school in the Midwest already who is born and bred to coach just hard-working kids, lunch pail types, that has done successful things with minimal funding, and I think would be a fantastic fit for the program culture? It's Matt Campbell.
I like the name. I like the thought process that you have there. I find it very hard or very difficult in seeing Matt Campbell leave at this point. I feel like he has had every opportunity under the moon essentially thrown his way, and he has not been enticed to leave Ames, Iowa. So
I agree. They have made it pretty up there for him. It would take a lot to get him out of there. I don't think he's leaving Iowa State anytime soon. I really don't. I'm in agreement. But if I'm Penn State and I'm taking a look at checking boxes for our head coach, Matt Campbell certainly does. And I think Matt Campbell could thrive there. But I don't think he's
definitely starting to get lifer vibes from Matt Campbell at Iowa State at this point.
I mean, shit, even the Wisconsin job and Matt Campbell make a lot of sense.
You're just going to connect him to every opening in the Midwest.
Maybe even more so than Penn State. No, not really. Like, I don't think if he, like, going to Illinois if Bielema left, or I don't even know that Michigan would be a great spot for him. I'd love to have him. Don't get me wrong, but I think he probably took interviews for the Alabama job. He had to,
yeah,
right?
I would imagine he probably did.
if and let's say they did offer him and he turned it down, like that would speak volumes, which I have to assume that they preferred a guy like Matt Campbell over Kalen DeBoer, especially knowing what they know now.
I will throw out, just because I looked it up real fast, that could be interesting, whether or not they move on from him, and that would be Lincoln Riley at USC.
Oh, wow. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Saying. I don't. Let's look back at what Lincoln Riley is getting for being the USC head coach. I don't know that Penn State's in a position to offer what he got.
Maybe USC was just too big for his britches. Oklahoma was pretty similar to Penn State, if you think about it. Like middle of pretty. You're in the middle of nowhere, essentially. You're the only school you really have to worry about. It's not like Penn State's worried about Pitt. Oklahoma wasn't worried about Oklahoma State. It's your state.
Could you? I don't know. Him going to another Big Ten powerhouse. He got paid a king's ransom. The incentives and all the added little bonuses of the jet and the mansion and what they paid for his house in Norman and all this and that, like a king's ransom was paid. I don't know. How do you think that offense would operate? That is interesting. I like that one. Penn State or Matt Campbell to Penn State makes sense. But Lincoln Riley to Penn State.
The shock factor, I had to throw that name out there. Mm-hmm.
All right, I like that. They don't
quote us. Other upset of the weekend, and that is Texas losing what felt like not nearly as bad as Penn State losing to UCLA, but a game nonetheless that I don't think many people expected them to lose after what we've seen from Florida thus far. But you know what? Texas has vaunted defense. Kind of shit the bed a little bit. DJ Legway from Florida absolutely had his way against Texas, easily playing his best game of the season. But then again, Arch Manning, and we'll talk about this in a second, but Arch Manning again struggles, completed just over 50% of his passes, threw 2 more interceptions. But you could just see him in the pocket, struggling with just consistency, moving the ball down the field. It looks like he has happy feet in the pocket. He's looking to run almost immediately after getting the ball snapped to him. It almost feels like he has the yips out there, like he is scared the second that ball is snapped at this point. So I started to dig a little bit deeper in there because obviously Texas losing this game, the first thing everybody's saying is it time to bench Arch Manning, right? And to that, I had to do some digging because at face value, with the expectations that Texas had coming into the season, I'd be like, this isn't a crazy concept. Like, he has not played well enough. But then you start looking into all the variables. Their run game has been non-existent. They've had some injuries. He's leading the team in rushing through 6 weeks. Not where you want to be. His receivers are not doing him any favors. Good. They're not consistently winning their one-on-one matchups on the outside. But the biggest problem is their offensive line is essentially made up of 5 turnstiles at this point. Again, don't quote me on this one. I quickly read it when reading an article. In this game alone, he was pressured 36 times. And on the season, he has been pressured, I think it was like 63-ish times on the season, right? And obviously 2 of those games were against Cupcakes, so probably not a lot happened in those. So 3 games really where accounts for 63 pressures. So then you take that into account and you see what you're seeing on the field where he's getting happy feet. He's immediately breaking pocket. It's because he's almost forced to. He doesn't know how to like last year, I will continue to point to what we saw on the field last year from Arch Manning, because I think that is a better indicator of the type of quarterback he is. But that's also because you had a great offensive line that protected him. You had a top 10 left tackle out there in Kelvin Banks. You had some other dudes on that line as well. I'm not going to pretend like I know who they are, but I know what they were.
Cam Williams was the other tackle, and I'm glad you said that because I didn't think that losing those two – I thought Texas had enough in the reload where they'd be fine, but clearly losing Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks,
which again
crippled this offense.
When you are a program like Texas, where you are consistently pulling in 4 5-star recruits, and when I was doing my research, I forgot what the guy's name is, but their offensive line coach is supposedly like one of the top offensive line coaches in the entire nation. When you have all of that, there is no excuse for what we have seen from Texas's offensive line so far this season.
We sat here. You remember I said it, Texas is back. They're ready. Arch Manning's ready. Sark's ready. I have wildly mischaracterized this Texas team. They lost Isaiah Bond. They lost Golden. They lost Jaden Blue. They lost 2 great O-linemen. I thought they had enough to reload. Dude, they lost monumental pieces that, if you look at last year's success, was all because of them. It really didn't have much to do with Quinn Ewers, because remember, we were sitting here talking about they got to bench Quinn Ewers. Turns out it was the pieces, not the player, if that makes sense. So all I'm saying is this, is that while Arch Manning's play has not been great, it's hard for me to blame him. And I don't think your next option is going to be exponentially better under the same circumstances. So for right now, I'm defending Arch. I'm probably in a minority camp, but I think Sark should be trotting Arch back out there and put him in spots to build confidence again.
Yeah, I think their hands are kind of tied when it comes to that, with the amount of NIL that they have tied up with Arch Manning. Plus, you don't want to alienate him at the same time, because I'm assuming he's coming back next year, especially after how this season has gone thus far. You don't want to alienate him, but at the same time, it's almost a scary thought to continue trotting him out behind this offensive line with the remaining schedule that they have, because they still have games against Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. So SPF Plus actually has them also projected to finish 7-5 at this point. And if we were to pick between Penn State and Texas at who has a more likely chance of finishing at 7-5, I'm probably picking Texas with that schedule, to be honest with you.
And I would agree with you with that schedule. It's SEC play. It's hard. Truthfully, like, the worst thing that could happen would be Arch gets hurt behind this offensive line. That would be the nail in the coffin. And I've already said I think he's playing hurt anyway.
Mm-hmm. But those were the 2 upsets wanted to touch on this week. Herb, let's round it out with some shout-outs. Anything top of mind?
I've got a shout-out / a pet peeve. A peeve. Not a pet peeve, but a peeve. All right. Can we put on our fat kid hats for a second? I know it doesn't take much for me, but can you put on your fat kid hat for a second?
Yep, I'm ready.
You've indulged in the delights of Taco Bell before, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Listen, it's every person's favorite fast food taco. You can't tell me any different. Sorry, Taco John's. All you have is a potato, a leg going in your favor. Your tacos suck. So this weekend, I had the weekend off, had a couple extra bucks in my pocket, hadn't really been eating out a lot. I said, I'm going to treat myself. So I took a stroll on over to the Taco Bell. And here's what I want to shout out. Taco Bell brought back what they're calling their retro, that late 90s menu with the Cool Ranch Dorito and the apple pie empanada. But here's so I'm geeked about that. That's the Taco Bell I grew up on. They're missing an item, Isaiah. This is my peeve. This is what's grinding my gears. Okay, you ever heard of a beef enchilada before?
Would you be upset if I said I haven't?
No, I wouldn't, because they discontinued it somewhere around like 04, 05. Blasphemy. Essentially, all it is a cheese, bean, and beef burrito in a little dish with the red enchilada sauce over top, some cheese and onion. Simple, dumb. You can order it. You just have to order it like, can I get this? And can I get a side of this and that? Which I don't love doing. You bring back the double-decker taco, the beef enchilada, the grilled whatever burrito or the 7-layer burrito that they haven't had in forever, and you leave the beef enchilada off, feels like negligence or conspiracy, in my opinion. We're ready for that one, were you?
No, but now you have me on DoorDash looking at Taco Bell.
Hey, so let me tell you something real quick. All right, you see that double-decker taco on there?
I do see that.
It's different, okay, because they've got a double-decker version where they take the soft shell, they melt cheese, and then put the hard shell taco inside. Not so fast on the original double-decker OG. That's refried bean in the middle. It makes a difference. It makes a fucking difference. So that's me and my diabetic talk for the evening. Mind you, after this, I'm gonna eat baked chicken and broccoli for dinner. So let's all keep that in mind. Oh, the diabetes and the fat guy jokes. We get it.
Jeez, beat him to the punchline, huh? Don't even give him a chance.
You got to stay ahead of the game, my friend.
Golly. Okay, I'll keep mine sports related though. I'm sure you didn't have the opportunity to watch the Pittsburgh Panthers take on the Boston College Eagles or whatever the fuck their team name is this weekend.
Can't say I was locked in on that one, no.
So there was a quarterback change for Pittsburgh. Out goes some dude by the name of Eli Holstein, and in comes true freshman Mason Hinchel. I hope I pronounced that correctly. True freshman. You know what he proceeds to do in his first career game?
Tell me he cooked.
Oh, boy, did he cook. And that's putting it lightly. I know it's Boston College, but hold on for a second. Hold your horses. This kid completed 73% of his passes, went 33 of 45 for 359 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh.
In his first collegiate start.
As an 18-year-old.
For that, I will be handing out flowers to Mr. Mason Hinchel.
True freshman, 18 years old, goes out there and whoops on Boston College. Is this the year of the freshman quarterback? Because you've got some ballers out there.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, should go check on that kid from California again, see how he's doing.
Or how about Bo, or is it Bear Buchel or whatever, the BYU kid?
It's Bear Buckmeyer. Have some respect.
Bear Buckmeyer. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the Mormons nowadays. But you got Bryce Underwood. I mean, there's just freshmen galore out there at quarterback. I think, dude, give it a year or two. We're going to see some electric quarterback play. Better than what we're seeing right now.
I mean, it can't get worse, I'd like to think.
How's that big lefty doing? Tua Jr.
Oh, a lot of yards, a lot of interceptions.
To be expected in an air raid with a rookie.
Yeah. 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
I'm going to tell you what, though. That kid ain't going to be there long. He ain't going to be there next year.
Probably not. Damn, he's a big boy. 6'3", 225.
And he is thick.
Yeah. Okay, well, that wraps up episode 26 for the fellas. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow. We're going to be switching it up here. Moving forward, I think we're going to record one podcast episode a week, but we we'll still have plenty of content coming out Thursday. We are going to try something a little bit different, so stay tuned for that. But as always, we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Peace.